60-second Nikke reviews, episode Milk Blooming Bunny. Go! With Milk's new form comes a kit that can be tough to understand and master, but brings a lot of DPS to the table if played correctly, being able to outperform several meta DPS units if Milk is in the right hands. Her embarrassment status is the most important part to understand. The status essentially does a variety of different things depending on when you decide to fully charge your shot. Here's a quick rundown. Whenever you charge your attacks for 0.5 seconds or more, you trigger Embarrassment, gaining Pierce for 6 seconds while also turning your damage into distributed damage, essentially forcing your damage into AoE status and spreading that damage evenly across every enemy on the battlefield. While in the Embarrassment state, you also gain different effects depending on what shot you're on in the magazine when triggering it. The full list of effects is the following. 1. Deal 290% of final attack as distributed damage across all enemies. 2. Empties your magazine. 3. Reduces your reload speed by 50% for one reload. 4. Forces you to reload. And 5. Buffs Milk's attack by 118.7% for 40 seconds. Effect 1 and 5 are obviously the ones you will want to aim for. More on that later. Milk's skill 2 only activates whenever you trigger Embarrassment, and buffs her pierce damage by 64.7% continuously, meaning once you trigger it, the buff stays in effect for the rest of the battle. Skill 2's second effect only triggers while Milk is bursting, which deals 446.7% of her final attack across all enemies as distributed damage every 2 seconds. Finally, Milk's new burst gives her immunity to Embarrassment for the burst duration, while buffering her pierce damage and attack by 117.64% and 220% respectively, turning her into a powerhouse of a DPS if played correctly. TLDR for her whole kit, you will want to trigger Embarrassment at the right time to gain its first and fifth effect, buffing Milk's attack and distributing the damage across all enemies as much as humanly possible, while spamming her other shots to avoid having to deal with their annoying debuffs. You will therefore want to fully charge her very first shot at the start of the battle, the first shot after every burst rotation, and if you're feeling confident that you can manage all of this effectively, you will also want to fully charge her 5th shot to gain her 40-second long attack buff of 118.7%. Milk's DPS potential skyrockets when played right, which also demands that you manually control Milk to fully utilize her kit. Milk can actually outperform quite a lot of high meta DPS units currently released if you properly micromanage her buffs, debuffs, and kit specifics, but it's going to be a tough ask to do so next to managing burst levels, aiming at specific parts on a boss, or generally speaking keeping track of the rest of your team as well. All of this in mind, she gets a high B tier 7 out of 10 rating. While containing huge DPS potential, she has an insanely high skill ceiling that will take mastery of timing of full charge and micromanagement of your units to fully utilize it, which I can imagine a lot of people will struggle with, especially beginners.